Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and to this time-lapse version of a little red deer fawn in soft pastel. I hope you enjoy the speedy version of this here. I will release the full demo over on my Patreon channel too. But if you enjoy this, then please do hit subscribe and go and check out all of my other playlists. I've got lots of videos other than just time-lapse videos here on my YouTube. This little piece is just 8 by 10 inches and it is my mini demo for this month. And with these, I'm always aiming to produce something within a short amount of time. So I set myself an upper limit of 4 hours to complete these. And I'm always working small and trying to push myself into using less detail, always trying to explore or learn something new with these little pieces. So I enjoy these ones a lot in between my bigger paintings. This one I decided to return to one of my favourite papers, Hahnemühle Velour. And it's been a while actually since I used this paper. And I thought that the blurred background or the out of focus background would be so quick to create on this paper. So that is why I went for this particular surface. There are a few papers that I love to use, but for about the first 10 years of my work as a professional artist, I used pretty much all velour paper. So I do have a real love for this stuff, even though for a lot of other artists, it's either love or hate relationship with this paper. But this little demo is going to show you where it really does excel. You can so quickly create something extremely soft and out of focus in the background. And I was hoping that that would then help to create extra crisp detail on the main subject in front. Because if you've used this paper before, you'll know that it's not the easiest paper to get crisp detail on. Although if you do persevere with it, you can get some really lovely effects and fine detail too. But if you're used to pastel matte, for example, you will absolutely find that this paper feels very strange to the touch. So this little fawn was photographed in autumn in Ireland a good few years ago now. At this time of the year, I always used to go to photograph the rutting season with the red deer. And also close to where I lived in Northern Ireland, there were some fallow deer as well, so the creamy white colour of deer, which are very unusual. So this time of year always signalled rutting season for me, and I would be out with my camera and my long lens. And over the years, I painted a whole series of red deer, but mostly the stags. I was always more interested in capturing the antlers and the majestic nature of the stags. But I also have some lovely photo reference of some of the younger deer, some of the female deers. So I decided to stop overlooking this cute little fawn and use it for this month's autumnal themed mini demo. And this lighting in particular really makes me think of autumn time in Ireland. I've added a little hint of warmth to the trees and bushes in the background, just to bring out some of the colours that I'm going to use on the fawn as well. It's always good if you can tie those colours together, repeat some of the colours that you've used in your background in your main subject. That's one of my absolute priorities when I'm painting, and especially like in this case where I've actually changed the background from the original photo reference. And if you find yourself doing that, my biggest tip is to make use of some colours in both background and your main subject. So have some common colours running throughout the whole painting. This is the absolute best way to tie those two things together. And it makes sense because whatever light is hitting the surroundings, it's going to be the same light hitting the little deer as well. And it's often the case that I am painting the light as much as I am painting a dog or a landscape, or in this case, a deer. What I tend to be painting, or what I'm focused on when I'm painting, is capturing the light, no matter what that light is bouncing off. So I completed this little demo in just over 2.5 hours, and this will be released on my Patreon channel. As I said at the start, these mini demos are designed to tackle different aspects of soft pastel because it's so easy to get carried away with lots and lots of detail. And I do spend many, many more hours than this on my commissioned portraits, for example. But I know that I sometimes really fancy a bit of relief from the longer, bigger, more laborious projects. And I've actually grown to love these little mini demos myself. I really look forward to each month's mini demo because it gives me a little bit of relief from a bigger project. It takes the pressure off a little bit. I don't have to create a masterpiece with these little demos. And I often find myself demoing something else about soft pastel because, of course, you can create highly detailed animal portraits, and that's probably the work that I am most known for doing. But then at the same time, it's such an expressive and versatile medium. And part of what I'm doing with my mini demos is not just speeding up my process and trying to work in a different way. I'm also trying out different subject matter, trying to cover a whole range of subjects that I too am less experienced with. So I learn a lot from these little demos and I really enjoy them. And I think a lot of my patrons do too, because I know that a lot of people learning to paint may also have jobs and busy lifestyles, and not everyone has all of those extra hours to commit to their hobby, if that's what art is. So I find these little projects are shorter pieces that you can fit in between other things. They don't demand quite as much of your time. But I hope that with each one, they are packed full of information and tips as well. So I'm using mostly the unison pastels for this one. And I've got just a couple of dark Terry Ludwigs involved. And then a dark black hard pastel. You'll see a little bit of pastel pencil here and there as well, especially around the eyes and the outer edges of the animal too, which you'll see as we come close to the end. But I find with the velour paper, it almost helps you to create the soft texture of an animal. You really don't have to create as much detail as you would think before it starts to look quite real. So I'm glad that I chose the velour paper. It was quite tricky at this scale because, as I said, 8 by 10 inches doesn't really give you a lot of space. And you can see how big even some of my tiny shards of pastel are looking. But a really enjoyable little piece. I tried not to spend too long on it. Just getting the correct values in the right places and trying to add a little touch of vibrance to my colour choices with the coral orange tones in the warm areas and those cooler blue tones in the shadows. So a little bit of colour theory that goes a long way to creating something quite realistic. So I hope that you've enjoyed seeing this come together in the speeded up version. Full length version coming very soon on my Patreon channel. And lastly, please do go and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But thanks very much for watching, and until next time, happy pasteling.